Okay, I think I'm going to upset some of you guys out there with my video today for Atlantis by Blue Atlas. Are you familiar with this fragrance? Do you have a bottle? What are your thoughts? Do let me know. Put a comment down below. I've been wanting to do a review on this fragrance since late last year. This was sent to me along with a few other products from this brand. I've put it off and I've kind of discovered something along the way, and actually some things clicked with me. Even before I was sent this fragrance, I started noticing that the fragrance was ending up at the top of many lists from various publications online. But I did not put two and two together until the product was sent to me, and also the fact that the fragrance was actually rebottled or repackaged. I believe the fragrance usually came in a clear bottle, and now it comes in this beautiful matte finish bottle. But either way, I'm going to talk to you about the fragrance itself. It's not a bad fragrance, but it's not like a love fragrance. And I'm also going to touch on all these articles that feature this fragrance at the top of the spot there, at the top of the list. So ending up at the #1 spot for Best Men's Cologne for 2023, Best Perfume for getting women and dates, and all of this stuff. Why is this fragrance ending up at the top of the spot? One article even mentioned it as best men's fragrances of all time, and this fragrance is only out since 2022. How could it end up at this top of this list? I don't get it. But either way, find out all about Atlantis by Blue Atlas coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about Atlantis. You can skip around here because this is going to be a long video. I'm going to jump around, and I'm also going to tell you the story of how this fragrance came about. So late last year, early October, I had just gotten back from Europe, and it was a very hot time of the year to travel, very sweaty. So I was looking for some deodorant online, and I came across some articles about Blue Atlas's deodorants, which were ranked at the top of the list. So I thought, okay, I'm going to figure out what's going on. I went to their website and looked at some of their deodorants, and then I discovered some of their other products. But for some strange reason, like not really long after I did that, I got an email from someone from Blue Atlas asking me if I'd like to review Atlantis. And I said, wow, what a coincidence. I was just looking at your website, looking up some products, and especially deodorant and all that good stuff. I was also looking at eye stick because I have dark circles, and I'm always looking for products that would kind of prevent or get rid of the dark circles. So this person ended up sending me this, asking me to review it, plus some of their other products. So they ended up sending me the eye sticks, shaving cream, deodorant, and I believe aftershave as well. So one thing I should say, the shaving cream was really, really great. I really loved it. I finished it off. I took it on some trips. The aftershave, I'm not an aftershave user, so I think that was a waste. The eye stick, I'm still kind of tossed up with that. Deodorant, did not use it at all because the deodorant is not an antiperspirant, and I need antiperspirant. And just the deodorant, I wear a lot of fragrance, so I don't really need to wear just deodorant. Then we have Atlantis. The Atlantis fragrance. So I smelled Atlantis for the first time, and I was like, I don't know if this fragrance is for me. What's the rave all about, or what's the excitement for this fragrance? So then I was going through my Google Alerts. So I've subscribed to Google Alerts since I launched my first YouTube channel back in 2012. I want to receive, news and articles about fragrances and perfumes, and I get them daily. Didn't realize that I had clicked on some articles with this fragrance being ranked at the #1 spot. Various articles. In fact, right now, if you search my Google Alerts, you can find 30 articles mentioning Blue Atlas's Atlantis. And I've actually bookmarked a ton of them, deleting the bookmarked articles out of my Gmail account because I get my Google Alerts in that Gmail account. So many freaking articles mention this fragrance at the #1 spot. In fact, I believe the Salt Lake Tribune has 20 plus articles mentioning this fragrance. In fact, I've clicked on many of them, and every single one of those articles that I clicked on, I didn't click on all of them because some of them now, when you click on them, the article has disappeared, but they do paint up with a bunch of different articles about this fragrance. And every single article with their visual that they have has this fragrance on that, like a thumbnail kind of a thing. So what the heck? is the Salt Lake Tribune doing with featuring Atlantis so many different times and also featuring it at the #1 spot. So does this deserve the #1 spot? As I said at the beginning, it's not one of my favorite fragrances. I like it, but it's not a fragrance I crave for over and over again. So why don't I go ahead and review the fragrance now? Again, you can skip around to different things. I have it all time-stamped for you guys. If you want the negativity and the criticism, stay tuned a bit more after the actual review. And then, of course, you can skip around the beginning if you didn't want to hear me complain and bitch about this fragrance. So Blue Atlas's Atlantis was launched in 2022. I believe originally it came in a clear bottle because I've seen some photos of the clear bottle. It currently comes in this beautiful matte finish black bottle. Almost looks like a black take on Bleu de Chanel, but I really do think this bottle is gorgeous. It has a great magnetic cap as well, but I don't think it matches the fragrance. The actual fragrance does not fit in this bottle. I don't think it does. So the box it comes in is also quite nice. It's very classy. I really do think the presentation is really classy. I think I have it upside down. There we go, like this. And then inside here, the bottle fits in there. I don't think this had cellophane. So, again, it does not fit the color of the bottle whatsoever because this is a powdery, fresh fragrance. And it's kind of the reinterpretation of Bali is what I've read. And so it's got very fresh and powdery. It almost wears kind of humid, and I can visualize that humidity in, the kind of place Bali is. So it's 100 ml for $100, and it's an eau de parfum concentration, so higher concentration than an eau de toilette, so it does have a more lingering power. But for me, this fragrance is so powdery that dry skin, powdery kind of don't go hand in hand. So I didn't get the best performance from this. And also, as I said, it's not one of my favorite smells. I like it, I don't love it. So the fragrance features notes of bergamot, lemon, and blackcurrant, along with lavender, clary sage, peach, apricot. And then in the base notes, we've got orris, oak moss, violet, ambrette seed, and musk. So for me, it's uber musky, right? Musk is typically powdery in general. So as I was saying, this is an uber powdery fragrance. It's really, really powdery, and I think the orris and the musk kind of wins out, along with the peaches that comes in with this fragrance as well. And then also violet. Violet comes in as well, which contributes to more of a powdery edge. And in that case, I feel like this is not necessarily uber masculine or men's kind of a fragrance. I think Blue Atlas is a male skincare brand, but the fragrance itself to me is quite unisex, if not leaning feminine. I think some very masculine men might find this fragrance to be on the feminine side. I think it's quite unisex to me. I believe that powderiness and the fact that it has the fruitiness, men might think it's leaning feminine. And again, I didn't double check on Blue Atlas if it's strictly a male skincare brand, but I think it is. And this fragrance, like I said, is definitely unisex, if not a bit feminine leaning. But it's lots of musk, orris, and violet, all very powdery notes. And then along with the powder, you get the fruits. The peaches and apricots do come in. It does have that stone fruity smell to it. You definitely can pick it up. Although it's very fresh, so it doesn't smell dried. There's the whole idea of dried apricots, dried peaches versus fresh peaches, fresh apricots. This is very fresh, but when it's mixed with the powder, it does create more of a powdery edge to the fragrance, that kind of wet feeling, the drippiness from the fresh fruitiness of the fruits. It kind of disappears because we have a major dosage of musk, orris, and violet, all very powdery notes. So this is an uber powdery fragrance. I think I also pick up a little lavender, so there's some aromatic edges here, along with the clary sage and things like that. But for me, it's very, very powdery. And I feel like I kind of get the idea of Bali. I feel like I needed a little more tropical smell in here. It doesn't really have the tropical smell. Although the fact that it's powdery, the air, when it's really hot and humid, there's that kind of suffocating kind of feel in that kind of very humid, hot climate. And I feel like the powdery in this fragrance kind of captures that. But other than that, it doesn't really go totally tropical. And I kind of wanted that for a fragrance that smells or inspired by Bali. So as I said, it's not necessarily a bad fragrance. It's also not one of my uber favorite fragrances. It's a fine fragrance. I'm being nice about it here, and I think it is pleasant, just not a wow kind of fragrance. And 100 ml for $100, I think it's a good price. If you can get a discount, if you're going to buy this, try and get it discounted and things like that. But other than that, again, longevity was not the best for me, because I believe it's just really, really powdery, and the fact that I have dry skin, it kind of disappeared really, really quickly. I don't want to get into the logistics of how long it lasted, because it's all over the place with the longevity. I'd say give or take 5 hours on my skin with this fragrance. But do let me know if you're a fan of this fragrance and what your thoughts are. And also let me know, have you seen all these articles? So I've actually bookmarked many of the articles, and I'm going to talk to you about the articles. And as I said, when I look through my Google alerts in my Gmail account, there's 30 more articles in there, all mentioning Atlantis by Blue Atlas. Where in the world did this fragrance come from? Why in the world do these publications, give this fragrance a very positive review? I don't want to single out the Salt Lake Tribune, but my God, 20 different articles mentioning this fragrance. In fact, go to that website, search for Blue Atlas Atlantis, and you'll see 20 different articles. Every single one of the little thumbnail type images that comes up will show the bottle of Blue Atlas. Most of them will show the black bottle. Some of them will show the clear, the previous bottle, because I believe that's how it was in the past. It was a clear bottle, and they redesigned it. Maybe perhaps it was too close to looking like Blue de Chanel. It was a lighter grayish blue versus a dark blue with the Chanel. But to me, the bottles kind of are similarly designed, and basically familiarity kind of wins out here, and people will be drawn to the fragrance because you're so familiar with Bleu de Chanel. But let's go over some of these articles. So Sports Illustrated had 2 articles that I bookmarked. One of them was 32 best colognes of all time, and Atlantis was featured at the #1 spot in that article. Another one, Sports Illustrated 16 best colognes to attract females, at #1 once again. And what I noticed going through these lists with all these different publications, I think the people that are writing these articles are not putting a lot of time and effort into putting together a cohesive list, because there are some random fragrances that show up in the list, and I'm like, where in the world did that come from? Sure, I do feature lots of random fragrances all over the place, but when you're talking about a summer fragrance and you're featuring something that's an amber for summer, did this person really put a lot of thought and energy into thinking, is that a fragrance that most of the general public are going to want to wear in the summertime? Again, I don't have a problem wearing stronger fragrances in the summertime. Most people are typically following rules. Summer fragrances, fresher, autumn fragrances, the in-between season fragrances, and of course winter fragrances, the stronger fragrances. But anyway, Sports Illustrated got covered. Us Magazine had an article, Us Magazine's top 10 best men's colognes of all time, featuring at the #1 spot, Blue Atlas's Atlantis. Dallas News it's the Dallas Morning News, 10 best colognes for men in 2023. At the #1 spot, we have Atlantis. I mean, there's so many mentions of Atlantis. I don't know who does this job of getting this fragrance out there to all of these publications, and how much money do they have to even pay these publications to rank this fragrance at the #1 spot. I mean, it's crazy. Forbes magazine, Forbes, the 13 best colognes to attract women, Blue Atlas Atlantis to Dior Sauvage. #1 spot, Blue Atlas's Atlantis, once again. Orlando Magazine, 14 best-smelling colognes for men, 2023 article, and the #1 spot is Blue Atlas. I mean, every single article, it was featured at the #1 spot. So I was like quite shocked and caught off guard. And then I realized that before I was even sent this fragrance, and also ended up at that article with the the deodorant, where the deodorant there was also ranked at #1. I just had to put 2 and 2 together, remembering that I seen so many of articles that I read with the Blue Atlas Atlantis being at #1. But it all came together after the fragrance was sent to me, after I looked at it, after I went online and looked on their website. Then after going through more Google alerts with Blue Atlas Atlantis coming at #1 spot on so many articles, then I all clicked, you know? This fragrance is just the #1 fragrance in the world for men. But is it really? What do you guys think? Is this the #1 men's fragrance of all time? Do you guys like it? Do you even know it? Do let me know. Put a comment down. Let's go through a few more. So the Salt Lake Tribune I already mentioned. 10 best perfumes for men in 2023. #1. Again, #1. And as I said, 20 total mentions. If go there, search for the fragrance, you'll see 20 different articles come up. And I was going through the articles before I'm shooting this video. Some of them take you to a blank page, but it does have the thumbnail paint up with the actual fragrance. So all these articles have this fragrance featured in it, and they're all using that fragrance in the thumbnail. So it's like, my God, bombarded with Blue Atlas's Atlantis. But Fashion Week Daily, 15 best perfumes for men of 2023. Again, #1 spot is Atlantis. Let's move on. We've got a lot here, and I'm going to try and end this really quickly. But San Diego Magazine, 17 best colognes for black men in 2023. #1 spot is Blue Atlas's Atlantis. I don't get it, but Outlook India, the best smelling colognes for men, #1 spot is Atlantis. SF Gate, here's a San Francisco website. 7 best colognes you can buy in 2022. This article featured this fragrance in its previous bottle. And the article wasn't really ranked, but the fragrance that starts at the first spot is Atlantis by Blue Atlas. And again, some of these articles, I just couldn't figure out why the fragrances are a bit random. They'll throw in a really inexpensive fragrance, and then they'll throw in some random niche fragrance. Sometimes it's not necessarily categorized correctly with the topic. So it's kind of a bit weird. But my frustration is that Atlantis is being featured at the #1 spot with so many different publications. It's truly unbelievable that it is that great of a fragrance when every single publication is featuring it at #1. No, it's not every single publication, but a lot of publications. So the Men's Journal, Blue Atlas Atlantis review, why it's our favorite fragrance. So they did a whole review of it, and they gave you all of their thoughts and discussing how this fragrance is the best fragrance. And the average person that comes to my channel, when I feature random niche fragrances, they go all crazy and say, now why aren't you talking about the stuff we are familiar with? So who are Men's Journal attracting when they're talking about a fragrance that the average person, the general public, wouldn't even know about? Because most of the time I feel like the general public goes to department stores and buys fragrances from places like Macy's and things like that, so they're familiar with those fragrances. So if this fragrance is not featured or sold at let's say, for example, Macy's, are these people kind of hating on the publications featuring this fragrance at the #1 spot, or are they being curious and wondering what the heck is this fragrance all about? I got to get my nose on this kind of a thing. But I personally think the fragrance is not really a fragrance that a lot of the general public might be into. I just don't think. Maybe perhaps they are now that fragrances have gotten very unisex over the years, and going back several years, decades, when fragrances for men were very butch and masculine. Now they've become very, very unisex. So it might appeal to most. Maybe it will appeal to most, but maybe not. Let's move on. The Las Vegas Review Journal had a couple of articles. Holiday colognes for men at #1 spot once again with Atlantis. 10 best-selling men's colognes once again at #1. And it's funny, how does Las Vegas Review Journal get access to financial reports, and how do they know that this fragrance is one of the best-selling fragrances for men? Is there any actual resource where I can find this information out? Because damn, I would love to focus on what sells the most. I know that there are fragrances out there like Acqua di Gio, Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage that are probably like some of the biggest selling fragrances, but this is an indie brand. How in the world would they consider this fragrance being one of the world's best selling? I shouldn't say world's, just in general best selling. And then we've got LA Magazine, the best men's colognes of all time. And this is the article, number 1. And that's pretty much it with this criticism. I just wanted to get this video out there. I was frustrated when everything kind of came together. When I first received these products, it didn't click, you know. But later, when I went to my Google alerts and I started getting these articles come up, again, 30 articles currently in my Gmail account in Google alerts that I haven't even gone through that are mentioning this fragrance. So just imagine, ever since 2022 when this first launched, how many articles I've gone through. And at that time I was wondering what this fragrance is all about. But now it makes sense that the people behind Blue Atlas have major manpower to go around to so many publications and get this fragrance out there and get them to feature it at number 1. So it kind of makes for a very sketchy kind of a company, I should say, and makes me not want to support this company, unfortunately. Again, there's nothing wrong with the fragrance. I don't think it's a bad fragrance. I also don't think it's a great fragrance. But with the fact that I've seen so many articles mention this thing at number 1, I kind of don't want anything to do with this fragrance. I'm very, very disappointed at it. And I don't want to attack a certain brand, and I really generally do not do that, but I wanted to get this video out there after I discovered all of this stuff about this fragrance. But if you're a fan of this house, this fragrance, can you let me know? Can you put a comment down and let me know? And if you're not a fan of this house and this fragrance, also let me know. I should also say, go back to the other products. The eye stick, I'm still up on that. I'm not 100% sure it really works. The deodorant I didn't really use because I was looking for antiperspirant. It's strictly a deodorant. Shaving cream was really great. I went through that thing so fast. Loved it. Really did love the shaving cream. And of course, the aftershave I didn't really care for because I don't really use aftershave because I use other skincare for my face. But let me know your thoughts. Please do let me know. I'm sorry if you are a fan of this house or this brand. I don't mean to offend you, but it just seems very sketchy that this fragrance is all over being at the number 1 spot. But if you're a fan, let me know. Let me also know if you've tried their skincare products and other products. And you're a fan of, and if you're not a fan of, I'd like to find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.